Have you ever heard the story of a princess so beautiful that even nature itself seemed to bow to her? Let's journey back to a time of enchanted forests and magic mirrors, to the tale of Snow White. Her skin was as pure and white as freshly fallen snow, her lips the deep red of a blooming rose, and her hair as dark and glossy as ebony wood. She was a vision of kindness and grace, but in the same castle lived her stepmother, a queen whose heart was consumed by vanity. Every single day she would stand before her enchanted mirror and ask the same question. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? For years the mirror offered the answer she longed to hear. You are my queen. This reply soothed her jealous heart and reaffirmed her place as the most beautiful in the kingdom. But beauty, especially that which blossoms from a good and gentle heart, cannot be contained. As Snow White grew, so did her loveliness, both inside and out. One fateful morning, the queen asked her daily question, but the mirror's answer had changed. It declared, "My queen, you are fair. It is true. But Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you." A storm of rage and jealousy erupted within the queen. She could not bear to be second to anyone. Consumed by her fury, she summoned her most trusted huntsman and gave him a chilling order. Take Snow White deep into the woods, and make sure she never returns. The huntsman, with a heavy heart, led the innocent princess into the dense forest. But as he looked into her trusting eyes, filled with kindness and warmth, he found he couldn't bring himself to harm her. His conscience won. He urged her to run, to flee deep into the woods where the queen could never find her, and never look back. Terrified and alone, Snow White ran as fast as her legs could carry her, deeper and deeper into the unfamiliar wilderness. Trees seemed to claw at her with their branches, and strange sounds echoed all around. Just when she thought she could run no more, she stumbled into a clearing. And there, nestled amongst the trees, was a peculiar tiny cottage. It was the most charming little house she had ever seen. Hesitantly, she knocked on the small door, but there was no answer. The door creaked open, and she peeked inside. Everything was miniature. 7 little chairs, 7 little plates, and 7 little beds all lined up in a row. Exhausted from her ordeal, she tidied up the messy cottage and then fell fast asleep across a few of the tiny beds. Later that evening, the owners of the cottage returned. They were 7 dwarfs who spent their days mining for jewels in the mountains. They were startled to find a beautiful princess sleeping in their home. When Snow White awoke and told them her story, their gruff exteriors melted away. They felt sorry for her and, charmed by her sweetness, invited her to stay and keep house for them, safe from the queen. But the queen's evil was not so easily escaped. Back at the castle, she once again consulted her magic mirror, confident that her rival was gone. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is now the fairest of them all? Imagine her fury when the mirror replied, over the 7 mountains with the 7 dwarfs. Snow White is still alive and well, and 1,000 times fairer than you. The queen was incandescent with rage. She knew she had to take matters into her own hands. Using dark magic, she disguised herself as a harmless old peddler woman. Her plan was wicked and cunning. She crafted a special apple, one half perfectly fine, the other half the beautiful, shiny red side, laced with a powerful sleeping poison. She traveled to the dwarf's cottage and found Snow White alone. With a sweet, grandmotherly voice, she offered the princess the glistening apple. Snow White, remembering the dwarf's warnings about strangers, was hesitant at first. To prove it was safe, the old woman took a bite from the green, harmless side. Seeing this, Snow White's fears subsided. She accepted the apple and took a single bite from the tempting ruby-red side. Instantly, the poison took hold, and she fell to the floor in a sleep so deep it looked like death. When the dwarfs returned, they were utterly devastated. They found their beloved Snow White lying motionless, the poisoned apple beside her. They cried for days, their hearts broken. They couldn't bear to bury her in the cold, dark ground, so they built a beautiful coffin made of glass and gold, placing it on a hilltop so all the creatures of the forest could mourn with them. For a long time, Snow White lay in her glass coffin, her beauty untouched by the passing seasons. One day, a prince from a neighboring kingdom was riding through the forest and came upon the sorrowful scene. He was immediately captivated by the beautiful maiden who looked as if she were only sleeping. He pleaded with the dwarfs to let him take her back to his castle. Moved by his sincere grief, they agreed. As his servants lifted the glass coffin to carry it away, one of them stumbled. The jolt dislodged the piece of poisoned apple from Snow White's throat. Her eyes fluttered open. The curse was broken. Snow White was alive. The prince was overjoyed, and Snow White, seeing her hero, fell in love. They were married in a grand celebration, and their goodness and love brought joy to the entire kingdom, where they lived happily ever after. Thank you so much for joining me for this classic story. If you enjoyed this journey into a fairy tale world, please hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures. See you next time.